Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Post to Post. I am the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting, big sexy Jerry Valeri.
Hey, how's my camera angle this morning?
Oh my god, I barely see two thumbs. Your hair.
Yesterday, you kept yelling at me that like you couldn't see me and the camera angle was bad, and I couldn't see or tell what you were talking about. And when I watched it back, how ridiculous was that? I was hungover. I'm sorry.
So there's no little square on your screen that like shows you what you look like?
There is, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I never look at it. I just look at you.
Okay. Well, this is one we've been excited about, Jer. This is one we've been pretty hyped about.
Since SummerSlam. We haven't had a pay-per-view since SummerSlam. This is 5 weeks. This is awesome.
So this has everything going in its favor. Let's hope they don't screw it up. I mean, so it's been 5 weeks since the pay-per-view, so it's been a while. There's that. Number two, we don't know what's going to happen. That's three. I'm sorry, that's two. The third thing is we're excited about the show. I mean, this has all the makings for it's got a great build. I mean, it's got all the makings for a good episode of Post to Post and a good pay-per-view on Sunday.
Sometimes they'll cram a slogan or a catchphrase down your throat, my yard, that kind of thing. But even when they're trying to promote a pay-per-view, you can definitely tell what they want to hammer, what they want to hit, what they're trying to market. This time I really agree with them. They keep mentioning there are 2 WrestleMania caliber matches on this card, and there really are. I mean, these are 2 one-on-one matchups that we haven't seen that could have easily gone on a WrestleMania card in Strowman, Lesnar, Cena, and Reigns. And so I'm excited we're getting it in September on No Mercy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a big deal. I'm excited. I'm just like, so when I'm excited, I like to point it out because I'm happy to take them to task when they suck, which they do quite a bit. And I'm happy to praise them when they do things right, which they have done with this build as far as I'm concerned.
The build has been so good that if they do put on a really good pay-per-view, this could be an A-plus pay-per-view because you always say one of the factors is a build. So they did it with the build. Now they have to deliver the pay-per-view.
I feel like A-plus is, I mean, it certainly could happen. Absolutely.
It could. I mean, they've set themselves up that it could happen.
Sure. It could happen.
A poor build, and it wouldn't be possible.
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
So I did what I always do. Just quickly, boom, boom, there's the sheet. I didn't want you to see any picks, but I have the No Freaking Mercy match card, and I put my picks down already, so there's no tampering to be done. And then Rob will just run through the card.
Okay. So,
although I'm sure they're going to add stuff. I only have 7 matches.
Yeah, I've got 7, but I mean, 7 isn't an underfilled show necessarily, but I do feel like there'll be something on the pre-show. But I mean, if we don't know what it is, we certainly can't talk about it.
Right. Well, there are guys that they like to feature here that aren't on the card. Like Elias Sampson always finds a way onto Raw. He's not anywhere on this list. So Gallows and Anderson aren't on this card. You know, I'm sure they're going to find a way to get some guys some work that night.
Yeah, or for some reason, even Goldust feels like he might work in somewhere on like the pre-show. There's definitely some potential for at least one more match, but we'll go with the 7 that we know.
Yeah.
And boy, there's a lot to talk about. Man, where do we even start on this thing? All right, Jared, why don't we go ahead and start with this? Boy, all right, let's start with Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt with the funniest stipulation I've ever heard of.
Man versus man.
Man versus man. None of this nonsense with other species, other beings.
Funny,
other
Bray
entities.
Wyatt's he's missed an opportunity here because he doesn't call himself a man. It should be man versus God.
Yeah, or maybe they're building to demon versus God kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So I have a thought on this. I'm worried that I could be wrong, but my answer is like, it's the right answer in that it's what they should do. I can tell you that.
That's kind of how I book this. This is kind of how I go.
I don't always book with assuming they'll make the right choice, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that Bray gets his win back here. Agree? Disagree?
I have them putting Finn Balor, the man, over.
Really?
I feel like they've got it so like the Demon can only win, and Finn's kind of working, even though he got the win at SummerSlam, he's still kind of working from underneath on this one. And I think that this is going to be the way that they start to push Finn Balor, and this may actually be the end of the feud for the most part. So I have Finn Balor winning. I have a disagreement right out of the gate, Rob.
Right out of the gate. Yeah, no, I'm sticking with Bray. I know that Bray eats losses left and right. I know it's stupid to ever put my faith in him winning on pay-per-view. I just feel like this could be the story that will, while it won't get Finn over like you were talking about necessarily, it will provide separation between the man and the demon. And specifically with the stipulation man versus man, I feel like this is the time that Bray is going to get the win.
You got me second guessing already. Already,
well, Jared, you're doing the same thing to me. It's Bray Wyatt on pay-per-view. It doesn't happen very often for him. Yeah, the dude loses a lot. I mean, like they just use it because I feel like he's Teflon. Like they can't hurt him. So they just let him lose to put other guys over, and he just comes back as Bray Wyatt the next night, and it's like never even happened. Yeah, so that's my thing is just like I feel like this is not the final chapter. I feel like ultimately Finn Balor will get the win, but I think he's going to do it as the Demon, which I know already happened at SummerSlam. I just feel like man versus man, Bray's going to walk out on top. So yes, we start out with a disagreement. Okay, here we go. All right, after that, going to go with the women's title match, something we're both kind of bored with. Well, all the women on Raw in one match. Yeah, the names I've got include Bayley, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Emma, and Alexa Bliss. Jer, I turn to you. Who's going to walk away with the women's title? Oh, Rob, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked, Rob. It's finally my turn. It's my turn to be the prettiest girl at the dance. My name is Nia Jax, and I'm going to win this son of a bee. Oh, I got to tell you, Jer, I didn't even think of her for whatever reason. I feel like they've just been teasing her as the monster of the women's division for so long. At some point, they're going to hand it to her and see what she can do. I think this is it. I agree with your logic. I just disagree with your timing. Yes, I believe she will get the women's title at some point. It's inevitable. I don't think it's going to happen Sunday. I love this. You're excited because we're already disagreeing 2 for 2. I mean, it's such a good pay-per-view. This is a good when you can't see. It's like a foggy morning on a back road. You can't see 50 yards in front of your face. You're just guessing. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Who really gives a crap about this? Like, yeah, it's fun that we don't know what's going to happen, but do we even care what happens? Well, and I'll also point out that every time there's a 5-way or a 6-pack or a 7-Eleven challenge or whatever they do, you and I never pick the winners. That's a very good point, yeah. Well, why don't I say who I do think is going to win? Who is it? And I think it's going to be a returning Bayley. And I'll tell you why. Oh, boy. She went out with the title, for at least for the most part. Didn't she surrendered it, right? Isn't that what happened? I don't know how it happened. They've moved that. In all honesty, Rob, they've moved that title back and forth so many times. I don't know the lineage of the women's championship. I don't know who had it when. Hence the problem with the whole thing. So I think that, yeah, they're going to hot shot Bayley back into a title run personally. And I do think it would make sense. It would make sense because I know they've wanted to have Sasha Banks and turn on Bayley at some point, but it just hasn't worked out. And you know what? I was going to say something, but now I want to take it back. What I was going to say was when Nia Jax does win, I see it being in a one-on-one setting, probably from Alexa Bliss, which isn't a dumb thought. It makes a lot of sense. They've teased that too. Like that was something they haven't given us anything on. But now that I think about it, having her dominate in a 5-person match also makes sense too. So I never considered Bayley. I consider and I never considered Nia.
I went with Nia Jax, but I almost went with Alexa Bliss retaining.
It's not a bad choice either.
Yeah.
Not a bad choice either. So, okay, there we go. Why don't we continue with I'm jumping all over here because I've got it in a weird order on my phone. Let's go to the Cruiserweight Championship, Jer.
Sure.
Enzo Amore trying for probably the first time to capture the Cruiserweight Championship. And do you think there'll be a title change? He's obviously facing Neville.
You want me to go?
Yeah, what do you think? We got a title change on our hands, or do we have more of the same on 205 Live?
Bada boom! The realest Cruiserweight champion in the room! I feel like I'm taking a shot. It's kind of what I want to have happen because I think it gives a more compelling story for 205 Live if Enzo wins. I think it makes more sense for them to have Enzo win, but I'm afraid that I'm super wrong on this because they're just in Barry Enzo mode. So, but I'm saying it. Enzo wins. I don't know how, by hook or by crook. He's getting that Cruiserweight Championship from Neville.
Interesting. Okay. So, you sound like you're not confident.
I'm not confident because I feel like they're just unnecessarily burying Enzo.
Right.
But from a story perspective, this guy's just been getting dumped on and dumped on. He goes into the Cruiserweight division, and Neville's just this super dominant force. And even though Enzo got booed on Raw, Neville's still the heel in this story. I just feel like, although there were so many times that I thought Enzo and Cass are going to win the tag champs, they're going to win the tag championships. It's bound to happen. This is the time, and they never did. So I'm already regretting it, but I'm picking Enzo.
Well, if you are wrong about Enzo winning the Cruiserweight Championship, then maybe it'll make you a bit more relaxed to know that I will be wrong too. Because I agree with you. I do think that part of the purpose of sending Enzo to 205 Live is to give it a little bit of a visibility, give it a little bit of a spotlight, give it a shot in the arm. And I think that giving it to Enzo is going to be what they're looking for. I think this is probably in the plan all along when you bring Enzo to 205 Live. So I agree for mostly the same reasons as you. I will say the current situation with his backstage standing and everything like that, it makes me feel less confident as well. However, seeing him buried all the time on TV by Neville, like they destroyed him on Monday, but that makes that only gives me more confidence.
Enzo has the opportunity, and Neville, to have a deep, meaningful feud here, but the same guy can't keep winning, so it's got to be Enzo.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, it could happen down the line, but I'm going to say I agree with you. I think it will happen on Sunday.
Okay, good. Here we go. We're 1 for 3.
Tag team championship match. Cesaro and Sheamus challenging what we've been calling the Mini Shield, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins.
Mini Shield versus the Bar.
Yeah, I have little expectations for this match, and I'm definitely not seeing a title change personally. No,
I agree. Yeah. I don't have much to say.
There's not much to say about this, and we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I have no reason for thinking that. I just don't see a title change happening in the tag division on Sunday.
And isn't it sad? Isn't it sad that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are tag champs and we don't care? Like you rewind 2 years and they're two of the biggest names in the company, and right now they're a team, they're champions, and we're like, yeah, they're gonna win. Move on. Like they're nothing right now.
It's not even, they're not bothering me. I think they've got potential, but maybe it's just it's this brand split, man. Like there's only like 2 or 3 teams they could feud with.
Right.
You know, so that's what I feel like is the problem there. I believe we only have 3 more matches to talk about.
Yes.
And why don't we go ahead and go to the Intercontinental Championship match? Miz defends his, I believe it is like a historic title right now. I think last week he passed Honky Tonk Man, although not #1 for longest reign yet, or longest most days as champion, but he's getting there. The Miz as a title match against Kurt Angle's boy, Jason Jordan.
I've named it The Miz versus Jason the Bastard Jordan.
You want to go or you want me to?
I'll go. I have high hopes for this match. I think if they give them time.
Yeah, this could be the sleeper hit of the one you don't see coming.
Yeah, it could be really good. Both guys know how to work, and if Jason Jordan doesn't have a microphone, all is well for him. I picked it the way that I would book it, the way that I feel the story is going. Jason Jordan cannot, storyline-wise, succeed and live up to his father's expectations. He can't do it. I feel like Jason Jordan can't be Intercontinental Champion. He needs to disappoint Kurt again. He needs to constantly he has to stay in Kurt's shadow. He has to, because I think it's building to Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle. I think eventually we're going to get somewhere along those lines where Jordan's going to turn on Angle. That's my thinking anyways. And so I think The Miz wins. I think he's got the Miztourage. There's a lot going on there. Maurice is not having the baby yet. She's not showing any signs of pregnancy, or I'd reconsider so he could have time off. He's not ready for time off yet. And I think Jason Jordan does not win yet. No.
I agree. It's another thing that I think will happen down the line. It won't surprise me if eventually. I didn't really that angle you propose is solid. I like that. I haven't thought about that. That wasn't my reasoning for it. But I do think he will disappoint Kurt on Sunday and not bring home that the Intercontinental title. Although that's a cool angle. That's legit right there. Consistently disappointing Kurt only to eventually, feud with his father and then go over. I'm assuming that's how I'm assuming that's how you see it playing out.
Boy, and I think it would put him over like Rover.
A match with Kurt Angle would get Jason Jordan over.
Yeah. So you got to have a feud with Keith, and that certainly does.
And then that brings us to the big two, Jer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. While I already had my answers in mind today, in fact, I settled on Monday, to be honest with you. So anytime I've been saying I don't know what's going to happen in these two matches, well, I don't know who I'm going to pick. I may have been less than honest because I decided Monday night during Raw who I think is going to win the two big matches.
I was 50% with you. I locked in on Cena and Reigns Monday. And then I thought I locked in on Strowman and Lesnar Monday as well, but then I changed my mind this morning. So
really?
I did.
You use the term locking in so loosely.
I locked in, and then I unlocked. You can unlock a lock.
No, that's not what locking in means.
Lock it in. I'm ready to lock in. I assume we're going to start with Cena and Reigns.
Let's start there. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't even know how to say it other than it's just he's going to take time off. This is all set up to make Roman Reigns the man. He's disappointed a bunch in this whole thing, which is the only way that they would give it to Cena. But I just, all signs point to Roman Reigns, bitch. I think Roman Reigns wins this. I think he wins this match. I'll be surprised if he doesn't.
I did not have an easy time with this one. This was the one I had the most problem with. I did settle on Roman Reigns.
Okay.
But boy, this is another question of when. See, here's where I was going with this. Because I felt like it does feel like a Mania match. And I thought that maybe Cena keeps getting over on Reigns. And then this thing eventually hits at, springtime, WrestleMania season. You could kind of keep having little things happen. And not week after week, but Cena moves on to someone else, Roman moves on to someone else, and then, they mix it up at the Rumble or Survivor Series or whatever, not even like a match, just they keep bumping into each other kind of thing.
Sure.
And while it still could happen at WrestleMania, I feel like whether it was designed this way or not, for lack of a better term, over the course of this feud, over the course of this month, Roman has showed his ass. Whether by design or not, we have seen the holes in his armor. You know,
well, it all
mean?
started when he lost his place in that first promo.
Sure, absolutely, it did. So
as you put it, he got shook, and he's never really recovered from it.
I agree with you, and so I think that to have him lose the street game, for lack of a better term, and then lose the match, I feel like would be a really big deal.
There'd be a problem.
Yeah, and so maybe if he was a bit more assertive on the mic or was hanging with Cena on the mic, you could have him lose and still be considered cool. But I feel like he's got to win on Sunday if they want to make him the master of the yard or the man or whatever we're calling him, the guy. And that's cool. I mean, I want Cena to win, but I know that his time is limited. I know that we're not going to have Cena forever. I wish they had a different guy on deck, but the guy appears to be Roman. And
I'm just curious. Like the only other thing that I was thinking is, at what point does Cena win? Because Samoa Joe is nowhere on here, and we haven't seen him. How hurt is he? Like, where is he?
My understanding is any day now for him. So he
could come in and just ruin Reigns' life.
I think it was like a 4-week injury that happened, at SummerSlam or the next night?
Right. So they could be holding him for this. It would make sense. Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, that'd be a good one. You got the Samoas, but and he could ruin it, and Cena could win that way. I agree with you. I think that it would be bad for Roman Reigns if he lost another thing.
Line of the day, I think, is you've got the Samoas.
You got the Samoas. You got the Samoas.
Okay, so it sounds like so far we've only disagreed on the two.
On the two.
First two out the gate, but the two.
Here we go.
So
you got the Chinas. You got the
you got the Samoas.
Well, step aside, Jinder Mahal. Let's see who can get the most racist.
Well, there wasn't anything racist about that. I just thought it was fun. It's just a funny term. Hashtag you've got the Samoas.
You've got the Samoas.
All right. So we've got one more match to talk about, and then we can all sit back and wait for the big show on Sunday. Brock Lesnar defends his WWE Championship, or I guess the Universal Championship, against what they are calling his biggest threat to date, Braun Strowman.
The monster among men versus the beast incarnate.
So here's what I've got.
Let's do it.
We've got some evidence in favor of both guys.
I'm dying to know what you think about this.
All right. Here's what I've come up with. Braun Strowman has been looking extremely, even more. I mean, you could argue for a year now he's been looking dominant.
He's like Hogan in the 80s. They've got him just killing everybody.
But since beginning at SummerSlam and every week following, Braun Strowman has been extremely dominant.
He threw the Big Show through a cage.
He tossed Brock Lesnar.
Couple times.
It's been nuts. And there's a real tell. I feel like they might be showing their hand a bit. It is so weird to hear Paul Heyman and the commentary team in general refer to Braun Strowman as the biggest threat that Brock has had to the title. It feels like they really want us to think that Braun is going to win on Sunday to yank the carpet out from under us, or the tablecloth, or whatever you're sitting on.
Yes.
Despite
no one's sitting on a tablecloth.
Despite those things, I do believe Braun's time is now. And I believe that on Sunday, he's going to capture the dream and attain the Universal Championship. And now I look to you, Jer. Do you agree or do you disagree?
For the first time in I don't know how long, Brock Lesnar is going into a main event underneath. He's the underdog. He's fighting as the underdog here. He's the champion underdog. It's unbelievable what they've done with Braun Strowman, and how they've put him over and found a way to elevate his violent streak. He's so monstrous, monster among men. But this is Brock Lesnar.
It is
Brock Lesnar is the beast incarnate. Brock Lesnar is a beast, as Paul Heyman put on Monday, that has been woken up. Suplex City or Power Slam straight to hell.
Bitch. I still don't know who you're going to pick. I don't know where you're taking me.
I think Brock Lesnar retains the WWE Universal Championship.
Oh, man. Now we're cooking with oil, Jer.
Oh, we got some peanut oil on the fire.
Got some oil on the fire.
Put it in. I say Brock, you say Braun, you say Braun, I say Brock.
Power slam to hell.
Suplex City.
Power slam to hell.
Bitch.
Wow. Okay. Was not expecting this one from you. I thought for sure we were going to agree on this one.
Woo! No mercy on Sunday.
Is this which one it was Roman and Cena is the one you changed your mind on, right?
Nope.
Oh, is this one?
It was this one.
It's worth noting. My understanding is, and don't let this sway you at all. Brock is booked for no dates after No Mercy. But don't let that stop you, because I mean,
well, no, I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Unless you let me unlock like I like to do.
No, listen. This has now become, now that once you said Brock Lesnar, I mean, I got blood flow going.
Well, because now we finally, usually it's like, oh, the lock of destiny is decided by a Nia Jax match almost every pay-per-view, every single time. But this time it's the main event. And for me, this was the hardest one to pick. And I think that when the main event is the hardest to pick, the one you're most excited for, and the best hyped, you're doing right. And it's not always the case with the WWE. Sometimes the main event is a real stinkeroo.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, you got your semi-main, and I'm just like, I might care more about that one, to be honest with you.
This is awesome. Where do you think they put that? Because they're not doing them back-to-back.
You know, I don't know. The only thing, unless there's a match we don't know about, the only thing you could possibly separate them with is a women's match, but they don't seem to put them there anymore.
Yeah, because they want us to believe that the women are important.
Hashtag believer.
Hashtag revolution.
How many, what's the over-under on, I'm not going to say it, never mind.
We have three disagreements. We disagree on the women, where we both could be wrong anyways. We disagree on the man versus man match, and we disagree on the main event. There is a chance that we tie.
Yeah, but it always goes to the last match.
Oh, so there it is. It's main event or bust for us then.
Yeah, well, I mean, if let's say you win the two we disagree on early, then there's no way I could win the main event. But if it's a tie, then yeah, it's going to go down to Lesnar and Strowman.
That's excellent. That's
Jared,
excellent.
This was everything I wanted and more. I did not expect a disagreement on the main event.
No, I didn't either, actually. I thought you picked Brock Lesnar.
No.
I was like, he's going with Brock. And then I changed it to Brock today because I was like, it's going to be Brock.
Man, I'm excited. Anything else you want to toss in there before we wrap things up until Monday?
Just one thing. Suplex City. bits.